Hi everyone, this is LAR Games, and today I'm watching episode 26, the very last episode of Zoids. Uh, yeah, this is the final one. After this, I'm going to be starting something else. I've yet to change the actual um, tiers on Patreon to reflect what I actually want to do now. So I should really do that. But yeah, after this, I'm starting the last um, Patreon series that I'm doing as per request sort of thing. Um, So I'm looking forward to that one because I've always been interested in that series. Uh, but yeah, very last episode of Zoids. It's been quite a nostalgic adventure so far, despite the fact that I haven't seen it. So yeah, last episode and the episode previous, uh, we basically had the what was it called? The Royal Cup or something like that, and well, a lot of very impressive Zoids, at least for this time period, are in this competition. I'm kind of like curious though. I remember there was like a list, like there was a previous sort of like tournament sort of thing that happened like earlier in the season where a lot of people beat Bit, like in terms of like the leaderboard. Are those like would people consider those like better than all of these characters that are in the current battle? And if so, where are they? Um, but yeah, let's just see how the battle with these characters goes. Last episode, also, we saw that the Judge satellite was very brutally destroyed by a inverse orbital strike, I want to call it. So that's unfortunate. Hopefully, they have more. Also, seems I had the sound turned down. Oh, so it's going on. It's going and doing whatever it wants. This is an odd time to just like stop and look at the clouds. Oh, it was just the flashback to the previous, the episode before the tournament started. That's the heavy one. Hmm. So what are they going to do with that if it can't move? I guess they're just going to deliver it over there. That I'm not going to talk about that motion she did. I'll just say it's a little concerning that it was so close to Jamie's head. What was that pointy part on his cheek? Well, I think Berserk is a good description since it didn't listen. I actually don't remember them mentioning that system being inside of Liger before. I thought all of them had already been launched. I'm expecting Avatar levels of finale here. Don't disappoint me. I'm sure they put all of their budget towards this last fight. I kind of, hmm. I wonder if I can make like the same voice effect for the judge. Oh, he's down. I don't feel bad about Brad losing like any time he does. It's probably put up the shield. That's like the thing it does. Yeah, that one. Like, couldn't you hit it from the back with that, where the shield projectors also move? Like would they rotate? It seems like they can. That kid's Zoid just like does everything better than every other Zoid. Besides the ability to transform, which I feel could be done with practically every Zoid, I'm pretty sure the Liger hasn't really had too many special abilities. But I guess the ability to switch out armor is like the best possible thing for a toy, which makes sense why they'd choose that for this show. Is that a logarithmic scale? If it's nine, starting at like one or whatever, that's pretty big. Well, that's impressive. Oh my god, they did this before One Punch Man. They also never really explained the actual relationship between the kid and the lady. She seems like some sort of handler that kind of just took advantage of that position, maybe. Oh, all right. A mega bomb? Also, that was cutting it a bit close, you know? You didn't have to shoot like through them, basically. Now, instead of like 100,000 pieces, 10,000 pieces are going to come down. But that power is just missiles and stuff that they installed inside of the Zoid, inside of Liger. So, like, that just could have launched out of anywhere, couldn't it? Oh, he's back. Dang it. You know, that makes me wonder if there is something special about the basic armor. So it seems that Zoid maybe just performs worse over time due to the extreme uh, energy requirements. Maybe. All right, what's it gonna do? All right, show is over. All right, what did Liger do? Either Liger did something, the shields went up. Oh, just a regular slash. Just just going like full on brawl instead of any fancy abilities. That makes me wonder if they expected more seasons from this series. I like how those shield generators are also weapons. I guess Bit just got really good at maneuvering the Liger. So how do you know it? I don't know, whatever. Oh, wow. She actually had compassion for Bit once. I mean, for once, not just once in general. So that kind of means the same thing. So I guess those shield generators are, well, never mind. They're not as tough as the nails or claws, I guess. Well, I guess a single bonk is enough. This was probably the best fight I've seen in the series. Like I was joking about like the Avatar finale sort of thing, but the part where they actually kind of like physically grappling, that was actually pretty well done. Oh, that's unlucky. It seems she actually did care about him though. It should be running out of power soon, from what I mean, judging from what the people analyzing its condition were saying. Is he going to do the same thing? Oh no, he's just going to charge. It ended up where the other Zoid always had more interesting abilities than the Liger, but I guess the Liger just wins in terms of like raw physical power, I guess. That's a very nice visual, by the way. Can they still see stuff from there? You didn't do any. Okay, all right. A lot more judges are coming. I see. Oh, some of those guns are very redundant and actually like pointless because they're like the ones in the back or in the middle were also shorter than the ones in front, which means in order to shoot them, they would have to shoot the guns in front. Then again, they could just be used for aiming down usually, which would make more sense. But it still wouldn't make sense to have them be shorter. I don't know. He got a pretty strong bonk on his head. So again, are you like his mom or something? Handler? In the sequel. Season 2. Didn't they need to get to the end? Okay. He came through almost every time. You doubted him way too much for the most of the. Uh, they're gonna keep him as an indentured servant forever, aren't they? It would be actually. Oh god, I think I mentioned this before, but I kind of want to play a VR game where you pilot a Zoid and you just have those screens around you. Oh, that'd be so cool. I wonder if that like franchise could be brought back as a VR game. I wouldn't mind, like whatsoever. Regular ending at the end there. Back then, they didn't really have like special endings and openings, I guess. Um, well, it's finally over. There were a lot of aspects of this that I liked, and a lot of aspects from it that I thought had a lot of potential. But considering how they treated this show, it never went anywhere past just being potential. I think there were some good fights sometimes. Sometimes there was some very good uh, like art and cinematography at times. Like that last battle with the beam pointing straight up, that actually looked really good. Um, the 3D didn't bother me, obviously, because well, they're machines, and typically you would always see machines be like 3D anyway. It's not jarring when it's a machine. Another show that I rated a 10 recently, Fate Grand Order Babylonia, used 3D for things that I really don't think 3D should be used for. Um, Mainly characters. No matter how huge they're supposed to be, it just doesn't look right because they're supposed to be living. And if everything else that's living has a certain style, having one thing that's living that doesn't just doesn't seem right. There's things that have gotten away with it, obviously, like Courage the Cowardly Dog using 3D for like the Return the Slab episode where I think it was Ramses, the ghost of Ramses, wanted a slab back, and he was meant to look disturbing. So in that show, they would use different art styles to kind of exude some sort of disturbing feeling. Um, but for the most part in anime, it's obvious they're using it just to not have to animate that. But going back to Zoids, the way Zoids did it was perfectly acceptable. It was fine. I actually wouldn't care one way or the other whether it's animated or not animated. I just, obviously would be more impressed at the animation if they did 2D animation with the Zoids and it actually turned out to be really good. Um, so I think this is like baseline, just like, that's how it is. Uh, so yeah, speaking of the things that I think they kind of squandered, the thing that bothers me the most, and the thing I usually care most about in series in general, is the characters and how they interact with each other. With Bit and his team, I've mentioned this multiple times throughout the entire series, I really, really, really did not like how any of them really interacted with each other, or how little their relationship develops over time. I've been told, obviously, that this is a kid's show. Of course, there are going to be simpler things inside of it to make it easier to kind of take in for children. But I don't think that's really too much of an excuse for the character interactions, or even for like, if done well, a children's show can be really good for like adults as well. Like Avatar, I made the joke about Avatar in the beginning of the episode, but Avatar is technically a kids show. It's supposed to be for kids, but it has such mature themes, such progression with characters and their development and their growth and their changes and the complexities of war and how it affects everybody and stuff like that. That's really good. And so kids can enjoy the silly stuff. They can have fun with like the actual fights and stuff, but at the same time there's deeper things than that. But I'm not going to compare it to Avatar, because obviously Avatar is like on another league from most shows in general, like even adult shows. So that's not really fair to Zoids. The thing I will compare it to is something in the almost exact same category as Zoids. A show created for children with the specific intent to sell merchandise. And that being Pokemon. With Pokemon, the character interactions are also done much better, even though it's intended for the same audience for the same reason. Obviously, I do think that Zoids has the deeper lore behind it than Pokemon did in the beginning. But I don't think that the execution of its characters and their progression over the course of the series was done nearly as well as Pokemon. Even though there's not much of it in Pokemon either, you could tell that these characters care for each other. These characters have gone through a lot with each other and would do a lot for each other. Here, however, Pokemon has very young main characters, and I feel that these adult characters act less mature than those kids. Sometimes I almost feel that Bit was a lot less complex than Ash was, and their motivations are so unexplored and surface level that, well, nobody really gets past their initial introduction, essentially, in terms of them as a character. Lena is always just loud and brash and selfish. Brad was always incredulous and selfish, except for specific moments where he kind of like he went out of character, but it wasn't in a meaningful way. I think I never liked Brad. I mean, I didn't hate Lena. I just didn't see anything appealing about her whatsoever. And there's Bit, who also had a lot to progress over time, but he also never really did. The best that the most that ever happens to Bit is that he loses and he decides, you know what, I'm going to get stronger and I'm going to do better next time. But it also never shows that growth. The next time they fight, that's already all done. It's kind of similar to a thing that bothered me in Danmachi, but bothered me more in Danmachi for other reasons. There was a part where the main character in Danmachi was training, and it all happened off screen, which bothered me a lot. And the reason it bothered me even more than it should have was because the training was with a character I really love. It's like my favorite character in the entire series, but that's not really the problem that I'm addressing now. So it was the same with Bit. Most of everything that happens where characters do something, that characters become more than they were before in this series, was done off screen. We never saw the kind of training that Bit went through to kind of like improve himself with controlling the Liger, because if I remember correctly, he wasn't amazing at piloting the Liger in the beginning. He was just able to. So not seeing how he progressed was a bit frustrating. Then there's also the motivations of every single one of the villains, which, I mean, they're as cartoony as Team Rocket, so I didn't mind that whatsoever. Uh, I didn't really need complex villains. And to be fair, I forgot if it's Leon or Leon. One of the two, the guy with the egg head. I thought his motivations were actually pretty decent, like compared to Pokemon for the most part. Revenge is a fairly standard motivation, but it is somewhat relatable and somewhat complex compared to just I want to be evil. Not to mention the fact that that revenge is based on something that is like super. Uh, you can see how somebody would obsess over that. That also made him out to be not such a bad guy by the end, considering he did care about people as well. So he was a pretty decently complex villain for this type of show, which I applaud. In terms of the final antagonist, Vega, I wasn't a fan. His Zoid was really awesome, obviously, just OP in every possible way, and I'm surprised that Liger was able to beat him. But uh, just I feel like that kind of villain, just like, oh, it's just a genius kid. Eh. But to be fair, Bit is kind of sort of in that same situation. Just the fact that he did lose a couple more times and does have more trouble than the kid did for a lot of it. Because a lot of these wins early on and throughout the entire series are kind of by the skin of their teeth. But again, I've said this before in the rest of the series as I watched it. As close as those victories were, they were mostly Bit. At least until Brad magically got another. Well, I mean, I won't say it's obviously not magically, but you know what I mean. Very easily acquired an even better Zoid that, like, when he got it, could kind of compare to Bit's Zoid. Um, but clearly, he didn't reach the full potential of that Zoid in the same way that Bit and Vega could. So, I like that he actually just went down pretty easily by the end. That was kind of satisfying. And it's kind of weird that I'm saying that about a character that isn't even a villain, but I just didn't. But I didn't like Brad whatsoever, which was also even more annoying since he got like the only semblance of an actual relationship progression that anyone did in the entire series. As you know, surface level as it was, just a lady blushing at him for no reason. Like there was no reason for her to like him at first, and then he saved her during the time where he went out of character, and then that was a hint at more, and then the blush later on is like, why him? At first, I thought that was gonna be something with him and with her and Bit, because they had more of a kind of dialogue before that, but then she suddenly started taking an interest in Brad, which is really weird. I guess she just doesn't like blondes. But oh yeah, there was also the thing that really bugged me about the character that seemed like it was going to spark some sort of interesting like comeback, and it seemed like they almost wanted to do something like that, but by the end they just decided to drop it, just like he dropped the necklace inside of the uh, inside of the lake. That bugged me so much because it seemed like she was going to be so much more significant than she ended up being. Like she didn't even appear in the final battle. Like I was at least hoping she'd show up there, but then him dropping the necklace in the lake would, or the bracelet in the lake would have been pointless as well, since she would have come back. I just don't understand that character existing, or that the point of him even picking that up. And I know that I've nitpicked about that multiple times. It just bugs me so much because I felt like that was something that you could do that wasn't just what this did. But as much as I'm kind of like, these are just like all the negatives that I consider about it. But these negatives in themselves aren't just like a thing that I would like. They're negatives in that it makes it unremarkable, but it's not negatives in that I would hate any of it. It's just like it could have been done better. So in the end, I think that overall there were a lot of things I liked. There were a lot of things I didn't like, but nothing I actually hated about it. So if I was gonna give it a like rating, which I am probably gonna do by the end of this, just go like if I don't forget, just rate it on my anime list or something. I would probably give it like a six. A six isn't something that I hate, but it's just something that I think, you know what? I watched it, I enjoyed some parts, but I'm probably not gonna watch it again. Um, so yeah, I think that's it for Zoids. Regarding the series that took place before this, it's a little bit longer than this, which is why I wasn't able to do it for Patreon. As much as like, it would have been too long. Like even like I consider even two course stuff like pretty long, but I feel like the increased bump in price for uh suggesting this or getting this suggested to me um makes it worth it. It's just more would be way more difficult. So with that said, like it's I am interested in the concept of this series, and I am interested to see how a more well executed version of this would be. So I'm not averse to like watching it. It's just that like doing a reaction to it would be difficult, especially with the type of format that I do, and especially since I tend to find it kind of difficult to stay up to date with even airing things that air like once a week. Um, and Patreon is twice a week. So if I do watch it, I'm either going to do one of two things. I'm either going to watch it in my personal slot, which is a slot that I could upload whenever I want, up to a maximum of actually like daily if I'm able to do it, but to a minimum of being in hiatus for a very long time. So that's the danger of that one. Or I can just watch it on my own and just like do a review on it. I think that would be interesting as well because I haven't done many reviews, unless you count what I'm doing now, where I am talking in length about the actual season. Um, so yeah, those are the two ways that I'll be able to watch it someday on my own or through my personal slot. Because I don't think it fits into anything I do on Patreon. And yeah, I don't think it would be too worth it to record considering the length. I would only really do that for a show, like for a long show that I'm absolutely sure that I'm gonna adore. Like for example, Gintama that I really want to record someday because I'm very sure that I'm gonna fall in love with that show once I start watching it. So someday I'll be able to watch Gintama, but of course it will also be like in a personal slot or something, or just like a slot, the one that I could drop or like just replace something else whenever I want. And I have no actual like feeling of obligation of doing through to the end if I don't want to. I mean, that's kind of the same with Patreon, but Patreon does give me more motivation to do it because I feel like I agreed to do it, so I need to do it. The only way I wouldn't is if I actually like legitimately hate a series, like I despise it or something. Then I would stop um, with the Patreon show and then just ask, can maybe we can replace it with something else or something? Because if I actually like loathe a show to such a degree where I can't continue it, I just won't be able to continue it. So, yeah, I hope the people that actually did watch this, I know there's at least one, enjoyed my reaction to this series. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Oh, shoot. Damn it. Okay, well, whatever.